Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and before I get into this video, if you're just interested in seeing the package that's right here being unboxed and reviewed, you can skip ahead to this time code. Otherwise, stick around and we will talk about it. Now, specifically what we're going to be talking about is the Wii U. Now, if you like the Wii U, you hate the Wii U, you're indifferent to the Wii U, whatever it is, as long as you've used the Wii U, there's one thing I'm sure we would all agree on, and that's that the Gamepad, which I have right here, as you can see, this is not related at all. This is a case I have for the Gamepad just because the day this console came out, I was like, I really don't like the idea that this delicate piece of equipment goes and sits with all the other controllers. So I got this nice case that's tough and takes care of it. So I recommend one of these, but that's not the point of the video. If you've used the Gamepad, then I'm sure you would agree that the battery life in it sucks. You know, like what are the problems with it? Let's see. Let's do the list. One. It takes forever to charge the thing. You know, it can take as long to charge it up as you can use it. And that's of course problem number two, is that under ideal conditions it really only holds about like 2, maybe 3 hours of power. And you know, 3, you can charge it all the way and then play for 10 minutes or whatever, put it down and go do something else, you know, maybe stop using it for a day or two, come back to it. You're like, alright, I'm going to pick up my Gamepad and start playing again. Nope, no power, it didn't hold the charge, and you have to start all over again. So I think that sucks. So Nintendo, in true Nintendo fashion, came up with a solution to this, and what I mean by that is that they did a very half-assed solution that's like really under the radar and is completely hidden. But this solution, which has existed for a while now, and I realize I'm very late to the party on this, so I'm sure a bunch of you already knew, but if you didn't, I'm sharing it with you. Nintendo replaced the Wii U Gamepad battery with a new official upgrade battery that's much, much better. It came out in Japan, I believe, in fall of 2013, sold pretty well, and then was released in the UK. Now, I don't know if it was released in any other part of Europe. If you live in France or Germany or anywhere else in Europe, can you tell me if you can walk into a store and buy said replacement battery? Because that leads us to here. In North America, specifically the United States, where I am, they did not release it in stores. They released here. They did release it, but it was only through Nintendo Parts, which is like a division of Nintendo's website dedicated to replacement parts. They sold it there, then sold out like immediately, which really sucks, because once I found out about it, I really wanted to get one. So I did some research and found that the Japanese one you can find it, but it tends to range in like the $50 to $60 kind of area, and whereas the British one, for some reason, is a lot more common. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, that's what I decided to get, and that's what this is. Now, I bought this on Amazon.co.uk, which is obviously just the British affiliate of Amazon.com. It's actually very simple. If you just go there, log in with your already pre-existing Amazon account information, assuming, of course, you have an Amazon account, all of it will carry over, and yes, they will ship it across the pond here to the United States. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and we will talk more about it specifically. Now, inside we have, there it is. It's just a little box. Very little thing, and we're just going to go ahead and open it up. It was already kind of opened. It got crushed a little bit, and I hope it's fine. Yeah, there it is. That is the battery right there. And it comes with instructions, and it comes with a little tool, which is what they call it. It's just a screwdriver. And I'll show you in a little bit on how to install it. But yeah, they do ship this across the pond, provided you go through Amazon directly. If you use like a third-party seller, then it's very likely they won't do that. Now, in doing research on this, I had a lot of the same questions I'm sure a lot of you do, which is, it's British or it's Japanese. Will it work on my American Gamepad? The answer is yes. It has no region coding whatsoever. It has also no power issues whatsoever. I mean, I know British and American power standards are different, so that was a debatable issue, but apparently Nintendo was prepared for that. It is not a problem. You basically just pop it in and you're good to go. Now, at the time I make this video, Nintendo apparently has no intention of releasing this thing in a wider release across North America. I know Canada, you probably didn't get any incarnation of this. They also apparently have no plans to simply replace the pre-existing Gamepad battery with this one, which is unfortunate. And I maintain that if this holiday season, the 2014 holiday season, is another mediocre sales season, do not be surprised if they drop the gamepad. People hate it when I say that. I don't want them to drop the gamepad. I like the gamepad. There's a lot of cool benefits to the gamepad, but if it continues to, you know, stagger, don't be surprised if they do it. Now, if it does succeed, and I know they're making a push for it because they're making things like Amiibo and Wii Sports Club, and they obviously want it to work. If it does work, don't be surprised if they do in fact replace the batteries with these really good ones. Now, what makes these good? Supposedly, it addresses all three of those main issues. It charges faster relative to the amount of power it holds, and of course, that amount of power is much, much better. I believe when I did some research on it, they said it holds like 8 to 9, maybe up to 12 hours. It doesn't say anywhere directly on this box that I'm noticing, but off the top of my head, I believe they said it holds around 9 hours of power as opposed to like 2 to 3, which is obviously a lot better. And supposedly it also retains a charge longer, so like when you leave and come back later, supposedly it will still have a charge. Now I'm going to review that for myself and let you know at the end of the video if that's true, but it sounds really good. Really quickly, I'm going to show you how to install this thing. It's pretty easy. Now, of course, gamepad here, devoid of the little rubber case thing that I have for it. And you flip it over to the back, and you'll see this compartment. Now, like I said before, it comes with its own little screwdriver, which is nice. It's convenient that they threw that in there and didn't make you find one. And there's 2 screw points right there and right there. So you just go ahead and remove those. It's really simple. Just be careful not to strip anything, of course. Once you've loosened the screws, you just take the lid right off like that. It's no big deal. And inside you can see this battery. Now this is why I said before this might piss you off, because you can see how much room Nintendo left in there with the obvious intention. If you look at that, they obviously planned to make this, or at least allow themselves to make it later, which is, it's really lame. I really wish they had just done this properly. But anyway, disconnecting it is easy enough. You just go like that and pops right out, no biggie. And then you take it, put in the new one, and then flip it on up. Done. We are installed. It is that simple. And you go ahead and you put this right back into place like that, tighten up your screws. The final step for installation is incredibly simple. You take your power cable for the gamepad and you can plug it in directly, or if you use the charging cradle, depending on if you have some kind of case like this that prevents it from being able to fit in there or not, you plug it into that. Now the reason you do that without using it first is that, like with any battery, it's best to let it charge to a full capacity before you ever use it. I don't pretend to understand exactly why that is, but I know that it has something to do with how long that will allow the battery to work and what kind of battery life it'll get. So it's always recommended to just let it charge completely first. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And as you can see right there, it is charging, which means it is connected and it is working. Now, what to do with this old battery? Well, personally, I don't really have any use for it, but I would not recommend tossing it out. I would actually recommend holding on to it because you never know if you're going to need it for any reason. I doubt the one in there is just going to die for no apparent reason, but definitely doesn't hurt to have a backup. Now, I also want to show you this a little bit more up close in case you were curious about some of the stats, like 2550 milliamps as opposed to the original, which has 1500 milliamps. If you're interested in picking this up, I've included a link in the description to amazon.co.uk to pick this up specifically, so check it out if you are interested. Okay, so I've been using it for a while, and I like it. I mean, it was easy to install. It does, in fact, hold a much better charge. It seems to charge at about the exact same rate, which is not too surprising, but it also charges faster relative to the amount of power it can hold, so that's good. And it does seem to retain a charge longer when you leave it alone. Though I didn't have like a week to sit away from it and come back and see if it's going to work or not. But overall, I would recommend it. But I don't know. I would hope this gets released more widely in North America, and that it eventually replaces the Wii U gamepad battery in general. Again, I'm holding out, hoping they keep the gamepad, hoping that it all works and this comes into it. I just don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, now there is one of the, before we go here, I don't know if I mentioned the price or not, but you can generally get this for about the equivalent of about $48 on amazon.co.uk. Now, if you want to pull the trigger on that, that's completely up to you if you're into the market for a battery. But this leads me into a final thought here. Whenever I do a technology type of review like this, where I talk about some neat item that I recommend, etc., there's always people who go like, that's really great, I want to get that, and then they go off and they look around and see if they can find like a cheaper third-party alternative. and then they buy it. It's obviously less expensive. I get why that's a motive. But then they come back to me and say, like, this thing didn't work at all, blah, 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 you know, why didn't it work? And we have to eventually deduce that it was a third-party version and that's not the same thing. I have to be very clear about this. This thing, it has third-party alternatives. Don't get them. If you're gonna get a Wii U Gamepad battery, get this one or get the Japanese version of this. At least at the time I make this, if they do release this in North America, then get that version if you live in North America. But don't get the third-party ones. There's a couple of cheap Chinese ones out there that exist. They're not expensive. I think some of them were like $7. But the reviews were universal that they were shit. You know, everyone said, like, if it even worked at all, most of them were dead on arrival. It held less of a charge than the old, smaller battery, and in some cases even toasted their gamepad. Don't get it. There's also one by Nyko, which has mixed negative reviews, and what I mean by that is nobody's quite sure which part of it is actually the worst part. There is the battery component, some people say is good, but not great. You know, it can hold a bigger charge than the default battery, but not as good as this one. But some people say it actually holds less of a charge than the original battery, and then other people say the little connection part on the side, that part is defective, and if you're having issues, it's usually with that, and some people have actually had to cut that off and connect it with the old battery's connector to try and make a functional unit. Point is, if you're going to do this, get the official Nintendo brand. I know it sucks to pay that much money, and believe me, I agree. I did not like paying $48 for this. That's bullshit. Nintendo should have put these right into the console to begin with. Completely agree. But what I'm saying is, if you have actually the intention of going out and buying one of these, just do it right or you're going to regret it. So there you go. That's my piece on this whole thing. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something out of this, because shit, I did not know about this thing until recently, so there's got to be some of you who didn't. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.